But look, like we said, fans are back, coaches, players, everybody is here at training camp, but not everybody is suited up. Will, there's actually a notable absence, even though he did make an appearance. Will, the only thing that we've been able to talk about over this last month and a half, Terry McLaurin, contract talks are still going. And Will, I'm going to send this to you. I mean, is there a deal to get done, or have we? Is there irrevocable damage? Like, is there? Can we work this out at this point? Will.
I sure hope so. This is going longer than I thought. And all summer long in the chat that we have with you and Ab, I kept basically telling y'all to shut up. Stop being worried. This is nothing. It's May. I'm not going to talk about this. It's June. I'm not going to talk about this. It's July. Nobody's doing business in the NFL. I'm not talking about this, was my response. And all of a sudden, training camp opened up, and there's no Terry. And that was not what I was expecting. And now we've gone through basically a week, and there's still no Terry. So I'm getting a little worried. I'm not going to lie. Now I'm starting to hit the panic button only because I thought when he came on Sunday and started to do a hold in, that he'd be out there on the field. I thought like what we saw today from the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson's right next to their first-round pick, Shamar Stewart, talking to him. Mm-hmm. That's a different vibe than I'm not even going to be at the facility. Right. That is different. So my frustration level is kind of getting high on this to wonder. And yeah, I'm going to stop there. My frustration level is getting high, getting pretty high. And I'll let you share your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest. I'm downright kind of starting to get a little pissed off about this. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, where do we stand here? You know what I mean? Like, we're not talking about a disgruntled player. We're not talking about somebody that is, played maybe 2 or 3 years, has had one good year. We're talking about somebody that's been consistently good, who's been consistently biding his time with all of the many different quarterbacks that we've had. And it's kind of like, on one side, okay, why aren't we getting this done? And then on the other side, you see something like that where you see Terry show up, you see the fans erupt, everybody's excited, we all went and paid. But then I'm not going to lie, when I saw him show up, the first thing I thought is I went right back to last year. And I remember looking at Brandon Ayuk on the sidelines and him walking, having his little, hold in or whatever. Yeah. And eventually he got paid, but then he gets hurt. Now, you don't know what's going to happen, but Will, I just feel like the more time we're taking to get this done, that can't be good in the long run. I mean, we know, as we've all talked about, Terry's getting to that age, that point of no return, with 30 being the age where everybody's sitting here saying, okay, here's the cliff. You know what I mean? So I want him back. I want him back on the field. I want us to be able to get this over with and just move on. But I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about that? About the 30 thing? Because we've talked about that. We've talked about it. And obviously, for most NFL players, 30 is that cliff. Now, there have been a couple outliers: the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady's. Somebody will talk about Art Monk, Darryl Green. Those guys played, deep into their career, but it's just not common these days. Thankfully, Terry hasn't had any real major injury issues, but is that a reason why we're kind of in this place? Because he's getting older? Or, I mean, what could it be?
I think so, yes. And I think we need to really emphasize when Sean says he's getting frustrated. Every time we talk about this on the group chat, he just writes, pay the man.
Yeah.
And then he goes away. So, yes, I'm with you. I think it's simple. Ben, I love that question. I think Hendrickson gets it before Terry does because he's there. Parsons isn't getting his until he comes to Washington next year, so he won't be getting paid. But I because like you, I really thought things would be further along. And to hear that, like for the whole month of July, Terry came back a week early. He did an Eastern Motors commercial. He was like, "We haven't spoken in a month." I'm like, "What are y'all doing?"
Right.
Like, and when you ask like what's going to happen, it really kind of seems like his team is here, the Commanders are here, and nobody is willing to budge one bit. And I don't get that. And like, I'm kind of like you. Yes, the philosophy is you don't pay for past performances, but man, Terry dealt with so much crap with this organization. And we are talking about the team captain. We're talking about a model citizen. This is not a, hey, he's a good player, but my gosh, is he awful in the locker room and he's a pain in the ass to work with. It is this is your dream player that you want to have on your franchise, much in the same way Jaden is. And it's like, you know what, this regime didn't draft him. They didn't put, I was about to say Rex Grossman. That's not it. They didn't have him catching lollipops from Taylor Heineke, you know, and then get popped by people. But the organization did. And so Terry deserves, if Terry wants 30, and right now you think he should get 27, 28, give him 30. We've got the cap space. We can handle this. You can absorb this other ways. They need to just pay him.
And that's what I think is the problem for me, because, I mean, outside of, obviously, the GOAT, Tress Way, Terry has been the only solid point where you can always point to him, no matter if we are 4-13 or if we're 12-5, you know, whatever the record we are, playoffs or not, he is always showing up. You talk about those lollipops that Heineke threw. What was our favorite phrase? F it, he's down there somewhere. You know what I mean? Just chuck it up there and let's see what happens. And I mean, I agree. You don't pay for past success, but I do think you pay for consistency. When Quinn and Peters and those guys came in, you didn't have many things to work with. You might have, tried to work here and there, but we've seen a lot of Ron's guys are gone. Terry has been the constant force. He's good, and he goes about everything the right way. He could very well be out here in public talking and telling people, hey, I don't know what their issue is. I need to get my money, but he's not doing that. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and it just begs the question: what is it really? I mean, is it replacing all the old talent? Because I when we got Debo, I didn't think Debo was meant to be here to replace Terry. I thought he was going to be an addition to work with Terry. So we have a situation kind of like Tampa with Evans and Godwin, where we have two studs. You know what I mean? So it just really baffles me about what we're doing. But I think that lends to the question: what is the best move here? What's the best move for us, and what's the best move for Terry at this point? I mean, the age is an issue. I mean, if we're looking at it from that perspective, but I mean, he's been productive each year. We've talked about the people that he's kind of around, and those didn't Schefter come out with something saying, he kind of wants maybe a little bit more like DK money or a little bit more than that. Right. What's the best move? What's the next move, Will?
Well, so you said, what's the problem here? I think it's just money, and that's what we don't know is, are the Commanders saying we're going to give you 28 and Terry's camp is saying we want 35? Because that's a big difference, Yeah. And I do think we know these guys are very methodical. They've got to, this is our price. This is where we came from. This is where we want you at. But the problem is what Ben just said. This is where I'm like, you pay him, because there are 31 other teams that will say, we'll take him. We'll give him a little bit more then, So that's why I think you just gotta, if you want to call it swallow the pride a little bit, go ahead. If you want to say you gave him more than you normally would, just go ahead. But keep this guy in DC and let him be part of the next 3 years, or make it a 2-year contract with the 3rd year option. And what we all know, he's, it's a 2-year deal and he can move on.
Yeah. Let's just, let's work this thing out. If we're talking to Adam Peters, Quinn, all those guys, let's work this out. and we're going to get into a little bit later how they're honoring some of the old players and they're honoring the people that really worked great for our team. But you got to start with the guys you have now. You got to start with the guys that as soon as you came in day one, when we talked about when Coach Quinn and they had that interview, who was in the front row? Terry. Terry's up there ready to let's get this thing started. So I understand the business side of it, but there's a certain time where you just have to sit there and be like, you got to do what's right. It's not pay the man.
And like you said, if we don't get this going, if we let this linger on, what type of conditioning and is he missing out on? Yes, he's probably in shape, but can he be with the team and that type of stuff?
But it is his football shape. You know what I mean? We all know guys can be in shape, but that speed, that quickness of the game, we'll see. So, Terry, we don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, we're going to be paying attention to it. We've been following it throughout this offseason. We've been going back and forth in the group chat about it. Is he going to get paid? Can he get paid? X, Y, and Z. But one thing we know is he did show up to camp, but he's not practicing at camp.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this